Hang on. So, welcome everyone to another episode of Film and Faith. And today we've got the amazing Sandra O'Brien, who's a top makeup designer for film and TV with lots of experience across the board.
Some
We
exaggeration in there, but I will allow it.
Sandra is from Ireland, so she'll have this lovely dulcet tones across the interview. That'll be very nice. We met, so we're just gonna
Oh yeah,
jog our memories here a little bit. We
yeah,
met in 2013 when we are both working on a TV series called The Game, which is
that's
actually
right.
a top series.
Yeah. Now,
Brian,
not the game on the streets. Let's emphasize that.
no, it's just called The Game. It's about spies in the 1970s, England and Russia, with Brian Cox. And I think he was the more famous people in that shoot, wasn't he?
There was, oh my God, there was amazing people in it. There was our lovely Paul.
Paul, Tom.
There was Tom Hughes.
Yeah.
There was Paul Ritter, the lovely Paul Ritter,
Paul
who
Ritter,
we lost a few
amazing.
years ago.
We
The
lost him.
gorgeous shout out to Chloe Perry, who I've worked with a
Yes.
few times since that.
Yeah.
Um, Oh my God, there's so many.
Victoria
Johnny, what was
Hamilton,
Johnny's name?
Johnny Harris,
Johnny
Victoria
Aris,
Hamilton,
Victoria Hamilton.
and lots of like
Oh, there was so many amazing people in that.
Sean Dooley.
Sean Dooley, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rachel Sterling.
Oh yeah, gorgeous Rachel. Oh my God,
Um,
it's coming back. What a great job that was.
really great job. There was a lot of like real solid character acting as well in that.
Yeah, I mean Brian Cox was amazing, wasn't he?
He was a scream, wasn't
Such a
he?
character.
He was a real character. Yeah, he
Yeah,
was
yeah. Loved working with him. He was so funny, so funny.
very funny man.
Yeah,
So we that's when we met the
that's
first
right. Yeah,
time, and we got on like a house on fire, and we've been friends ever since.
yeah.
So once I started doing this stuff, this channel, I thought I've got to bring Sandra in at some point so she can tell us all. So tell me a little bit about how you started what you do presently.
Yeah, I actually started probably in Ireland, really. I went to college straight after school. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but I did beauty therapy and hairdressing. So I did both together. And then after I qualified there, went to my hometown and went there, worked with amazing people there for probably a year. I think I realized quite quickly it wasn't really my bag. So I in one of the books we had at work, there was a college for makeup artists, special effects, wig making, everything you need knowledge in to work in our industry. And I rang them up, and you at the time you needed a portfolio to get into this college. And I didn't have a portfolio as such, but because I'd already trained in hairdressing and beauty therapy, and I already had the anatomy and physiology, and I already had an in-depth knowledge to that kind of field, I got in because of that. And
Yeah.
then I went to the UK and studied for a year, and then the rest is history, as they say. And that's probably why a lot of my work is in the UK, because I trained in the UK. So people, my friends that I trained with, um, they helped me with work along the way, and I think one of my first jobs was in the RSC, actually, on Secret Garden with a lovely, yeah,
Is it the Royal Shakespeare
the Royal
Company?
Shakespeare Company. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was in Stratford upon Avon, and the lady there at the time was a lovely lady, and her name was Brenda. I don't think she's with us anymore, quite sadly, but I always remember walking into this wig room, and her head was bowed down, and she was nodding. And anyone that knows Brenda will know this, but I felt like I was walking into Miss Havisham's world.
All right.
There was something about, she reminded me a tiny bit about Miss, I don't know what it was, but I remember when I walked into that wig room, that was my first thought. I remember thinking, oh, I'm going to be working with Miss Havisham. And yeah, and that's where my journey then started. So yeah, no, it was great. And I think as well, in the field that I'm in, a lot of it is, you know, you get work through friends, a lot of is word of mouth, and If you're quite easygoing, easy to get along and do your job, you tend to, you know, kind of work quite a bit, I think. I think people in my industry, they like to work with people that are quite easygoing.
Yeah.
Because you need I would call it a blended personality, because you're dealing with actors.
Yeah.
And everybody, we all have different personalities, but they have a lot on their plate. Like first thing in the morning, they come in, they have their lines that they maybe want to revise, and you almost can tell by the way they walk into a room, um, what they need or what they don't need. And I'm actually quite a chatty person. So I very early on thought, okay, I'll let them take the lead. So if they sit in your chair, if you're going to strike a conversation, you'll always be pleasant. It's always a hello, good morning, and then you start, transforming them into their character. And 9 times out of 10, they actually want to engage in conversation, and I suppose that's their wake up call, isn't it? They're half asleep sometimes when they come into the chair. So
So would you say that the makeup buzz is like it's
the
the safe
therapy bus,
it's a
the therapy
therapy
room.
buzz, a safe port of call for an
Yes,
actor coming in and
yeah, yeah,
leveling him or herself onto the job for the day?
yeah, yeah,
Because we don't get
absolutely.
that, you see, the job that I used to do, which is script supervising, we get them on set ready to go. So
Yeah.
it's that we don't have a lot of time to assess what headspace they're in.
No, but I sometimes think, like, if somebody said to me, "What job would you not do?" Sometimes I think the script supervisor actually has the hardest job, because you cannot leave that stool. You are in
No.
that chair from the second it starts,
Yeah.
and it's for me. I think that's a script supervisor job. I think it's quite a tough job, really, and also you have to give actors notes, and sometimes actors don't like
Yeah.
notes.
No, it's funny because when all my career that I had to do that,
Yeah,
it's almost like, oh no, this woman is coming. She's gonna tell me I'm
yeah.
doing something
I'm going
wrong.
to be
It's
told
never
off.
like, oh, I just wanted to say hi. They're never thinking that.
No, they're
Because,
like, "Oh, hey, Marinella."
oh no, what have I done wrong?
Oh my god! As for me, when they see me, 9 times out of 10, it's like, "Sandra, have you got any sweets? Have you got any chocolate?" I'm like, I go around with a bag of sugar.
Well, that happens a lot on sets as well. Usually the camera crew have got bags
The
of
biscuit tin.
sweets, yeah, biscuit tin,
Yeah.
or somebody has a wife or a husband who's a cook and they bring in
Oh my
brownies or
god!
cakes or
Yeah,
things like
yeah.
that.
It's really interesting, because anybody watching this that doesn't really know about the world we live or we work in, it is actually like they watch it as an end product, but really what goes on behind the scenes is absolutely bonkers. And sometimes what goes on behind the scenes should be filmed, because
Yeah.
it's just like,
I think it's been tried a couple of times. In fact, I think there's a Apple TV series called The Studio. I've not seen
"Oh
it.
really?"
I've
So
not seen it. I don't know if it's any
no, I
good.
don't know that. I must
I
look
think
out for
your
that.
camera has got a mind of its own. It keeps zooming
Am I
into
zooming
you and
in and zooming out? Oh my gosh.
anyway, it doesn't matter.
Oh, sorry for those watching. It's like they're on sea.
So tell me, do you have a specific time period, hair-wise or makeup-wise, that you've enjoyed doing more than others?
Oh, I think for me, a lot of the time it's about the actor and the banter I have with them. Obviously, the less banter you have, the less time that you want them in your chair. Which,
Yeah,
sometimes that's why it's so important that the artist, as in the actor, and the makeup artist are almost like, it has to be a connection straight away, especially for the actor. They do not want to be sitting in a chair with somebody that they're like, "Please, for the love of God, don't let it be her, or don't let it be
mm,
him." So thank God. Well, what I know of, touch wood, anybody that's been in my chair has not run out of it yet. Not that I know. But normally it's like I'm a bit of a chameleon, so I can adjust to whoever is in my chair at the time. And normally, like, we laugh, we joke, we discuss the character. So I don't think it's really about the job as such. Like, sometimes you could have maybe a bit of special effects, which will take longer,
yeah,
or you could have a wig, which will the wig prep will take longer. I think a lot of it's to do with the relationship of the person you're working with, and that you're enjoying each other, and together you bring their character alive, whatever that character is, however long it takes. Normally it's the producer that will come in and determine the time you have. They will be like, okay, Sandra, if you can do this in 40 minutes, we'll give you chocolate. I go,
Yeah.
okay. But it's normally like, you have to take everything into consideration. It'll be an early call. An actor doesn't want to be called in even earlier than they have to be.
Yeah.
So, we try and keep, on average, a hair and makeup an hour and a half max. But if it's special effects, that's a completely different ball game. And then that's, that could be 2, 3, 4 and up. So yeah, um I think for me it's actually mainly about the person, but that's my personal thing. A lot of people might say they love getting into the special effects and it's least about the person and more about the job. I'm more about the actual person that's in my chair, and understanding them, understanding their needs, and then bringing out the best look we can for the director.
And would you say what would you say in terms of technicality? Like, for example, if you have a job in a period piece that's set in 1760,
Yeah.
how 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 would you go about? What would you need to say? The actor walks in and you have to fit them up with wigs and whiskers or whatever. How does that work?
Well, normally we would have a fitting with them beforehand, so they already know before they sit in the chair. And that's also discussed with designers, directors. And if they're portraying a real life person, well, then it could start with their head being wrapped, which is basically what we call a wig wrap. So they'll have to get a wig made. So a lot of time, this is done months in advance,
And they're
and
quite
then
expensive, aren't they?
very expensive wigs. Oh my god, thousands. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's very intricate work, and it takes a long time to make a wig. And when the wigs are made beautifully, they deserve everything, all the money they can get for that, because
Yeah.
it's tough work. And
But then who keeps the wig then?
um, who keeps the wig at the end?
Yeah. Because it's
Actually,
not like the actor's going to go off looking like a
well, actually, some of
1760.
them do like the wigs. If it's a female actress,
Yeah.
and she likes the wig, sometimes they have asked for their wigs, but 9 times out of 10, whoever's designing the project keeps the wig,
But can
or
it be reused then?
uh, uh, constantly.
All
Um,
right.
I have wigs that are years and years old. You wash them as you would real hair. They're real hair.
Because it is real hair, right?
It's real hair. Shampoo and condition as you would. Style. It takes heat. It
You
can
just
take.
go there with a wig and you just shampoo it and
Yeah, it's on a block. So it's on a
yeah.
block, and then you wash.
Yeah.
And it actually is quite funny if you're at home and you're washing wigs and they're on the sideboard. If anyone comes in, it's a bit like, what is going on here? And actually, to be fair, a lot of people on film have wigs on, but you can't tell. A
Yeah.
lot of female actresses will wear wigs because they don't want to damage their own hair.
Yeah.
They like that a wig could be thicker than their hair, or it helps them get into character, helps, to get into that process.
I mean, since I learned that there's the whole thing about netting.
Oh,
So you've
yes,
got the netting, and I
that's
started
right.
to notice sometimes on series or
Yes,
films, and
yeah.
when I started to notice the netting, I said, "Oh, that
Yeah,
was a
it's the
terrible job."
hair, it's the lace, the hair lace. And that's sometimes, is tricky because it depends on the denier of the lace and how
Yeah.
fine it is. Some film lace, the wig could be like £10,000, maybe more, and it will disappear into
Yeah.
the hairline because it's a beautiful lace. And then some laces are like, say for instance, a theater lace. Obviously theater lace is different because it's,
Well,
you
there's
know
not a close up.
it's, yeah,
Yeah.
and also you could be on in the theater for a year, so it's the same wig. It's on off, and it's quick changes, so it needs to be structured differently.
Yeah.
So the lace is much stronger, and then you could obviously see it. And I think sometimes maybe there's a wig that's gone on where it's a theater lace, and you can work with that as much as you want with the glue, and trying to mat it down. It'll always be seen if it's a
So
thick lace.
you've had quite a lot of experience in theater as well.
Yeah, I loved theatre. Theatre is it's a great place to hone your art as well. Like I started in theatre and then went into film, and the thing with theatre is it's an amazing training ground. It's for speed. You know, you work in loads of different shows. You have different periods, different styles, and different wigs, different ways of treating wigs. It's yeah, it's a anyone that's interested in this business, I would definitely say after you've trained, do some experience in theatre for sure. Yeah.
Hmm. And what would you say, would you have a thought about the when is a job stressful for you?
I tend to not buy into stress. I don't know how I do it, but I tend to laugh a lot. So if I've noticed when people get stressy, I kind of sometimes see humor in it, which is not the best thing when people are pissed off. So I kind of, shimmy off. But I try and bring humor into something. If it's very stressful, I go, look, it's fine. We're not saving lives. We can work with this. I always think there's a way of working things out. It's I would say, for instance, costume. Now, say for instance, something goes wrong with costume. That is definitely, I think, stressful because it could be a sleeve has ripped off, or it could be a hole, and you're like, and then you have to stitch it up. With hair and makeup, you can fix something quite quickly. Like if you bring something in front of a director and he's like, what the hell is that? And you're like, you don't like it? Don't worry. What do you not like? We'll change it, wipe it off, change the. I mean, it can be stressful because you're under pressure, but it's down to your character and it's down to your I suppose your emotional intelligence, how you read a
Yeah,
situation and how you
yeah.
go forward with it. And I think for me, I don't know why I am the way I am, but if there's a stressful situation, I tend to work sometimes quite well under that. I don't mind it. I'm not afraid of
Mm.
it. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
No, that's a very good attitude. And I think
Yeah.
because of the nature of filmmaking contracts,
Yeah.
they are usually short. Sometimes they can be
Mm.
long, like for example, Lord of the Rings, I think they were on it for like 15 months and they
Oh my
shot three
God. I don't,
films.
that's, yeah.
But then you know it's going to come to an end. So if there's the
Yeah.
one person that annoys you
You're never going to
or
see after
is a
that job.
bully or something,
Yeah.
because that,
Yeah.
let's be frank, that happens a lot on
Oh,
film
it
sets.
actually happens probably more than we even realize. I mean, there's so many departments.
Yeah,
When you think of the amount of departments, and a lot of times people are taken on because of their skill set. Even sometimes I would probably take people on because they're great crack. You know what I mean? I go, actually, they've a
yeah,
good laugh. They'll balance the room.
yeah,
They're not sure what they're doing, but I don't care.
yeah.
Not that I don't care, but you can teach people.
Yeah, yeah,
Or, we're not all it's like I would say I'm a jack of all trades, but there are people that specialize. So if you've got a job and you kind of go, okay, they may not be an all rounder, but they're very good at this one thing, and that's what I
yeah.
need. So I take them
Mm,
in for it.
mm.
You kind of, and also it's so important that you choose the team that that works with you, that they will have your back, that how they work, you understand. It's not always that you can be lucky that you will know the team, because a lot of time people work, we are all freelance, so
Yeah,
we always work with different people. But I think one of the most important things for anybody putting a team together in the film industry, that it's important you get the right team, because if you get the wrong team starting off and it's a long job, my God.
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know
I think a mutual friend of ours had to get rid of one of her team because they were like, like a dead space in the room, like the energy. Somebody, what did you call it the other day?
what did I
Uh,
what did I call it?
somebody who sucks the energy in the
Oh,
room.
Biddy Dyson.
Debbie
Dyson.
Dyson.
Yeah, instead of a Debbie Downer, I call them Biddy Dysons. They just hoover. They suck the energy out of a room. But I think
Yeah,
it's like I said, it's so important that we are very fortunate that the
yeah,
industry we work in. I feel fortunate because I was lucky enough at a very young age to come into a world that has embraced me, has embraced my character. I'm not the norm. I work in a certain way, and I basically, I said to a producer once when he said, "Oh, Sandra, you do this job." I said, "Yeah, but will I be on my holidays on it?" He went, "What do you mean by that?" I said, "Well, will I be on my holidays? Because I like to enjoy where I am working. You're getting up at 3 or 4 in the morning. You
Yeah.
don't see anybody. You come home late at night. You live that world. So
Yeah.
you want to
It's your
feel.
life for that amount of
Yes,
time.
yes.
Yeah.
And so my motto is that. That's what I do. I go by my gut feeling and I feel it and I think, is this going to be a job that I'm going to enjoy? Am I going to have fun on it? Because you can work really well and still enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah.
You don't have to be doom and gloom to do what we're doing. It's like, but I understand people are under different pressures. I mean, take you for instance, you're actually quite lucky because you are a sole entity, really. You don't have, I know you have to work under the director, but you don't have a team as such.
No, but
You,
that's sometimes a bit of an issue because
oh, okay.
like I have to go to the toilet
Oh, that's
and
why
like you
you're,
said,
oh my God.
and I haven't got
Uh,
anyone to stand by for me.
yeah. That's
Or
why I think that's probably the one reason of the job. I wouldn't be able to go to craft service. I wouldn't be able to go walkabouts. I like
yeah.
going walkabouts. You know,
Yeah,
I,
if you
I
just
need
want to
to
go
move.
just, breathe some air outside or
Yeah.
just step out for a bit. Only
Yeah.
when I have assistance, and that's only happened 2 or 3 times in
Mm.
all the years I've been working. So it's, I mean, I don't think it's affected me so much unless, okay, I need to go to the toilet, sorry. And then maybe a couple of times
Needs must.
they'd started filming. And I
Yeah.
said, hang on, they can't start filming until I'm there. But, obviously they did.
Yeah. Actually, Marnell, I've got a question for you because I've often been, intrigued by this because you work so close to the director.
Yeah.
I mean, we work with the director, but 9 times out of 10, they don't want to see hair and makeup. They're like, "Oh,
No,
please, would
that's true.
God."
Yeah.
And I am very much like, I'm one of those. I'm in and out. I'm literally like a ninja or Casper. I don't want even the director to see me.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
it's a mutual feeling.
Yeah.
I don't want to be. I like to go in, go out. Don't want to disturb anybody. But I often wonder, like, as a script supervisor, because you're directly with the director. Have you ever worked with anybody? I'm not sure you're not going to say, but have you ever worked with anybody that you were like, "Oh my God, I'm never doing this again," or was in a situation where you just didn't get on?
With a director.
Mm.
Oh, many
Oh,
times.
really?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow. So it
I
happens
was
more
just
than not.
counting the days until this whole thing was over. Yeah. I mean, I have to say it hasn't happened that often, but it has happened a few times. And then you're
Right.
like, oh God, I'm stuck with this absolute muppet. This person who
Yeah,
doesn't know what, first of all, they don't know what they're doing.
but that's tough.
And that's tough for someone
Mm.
like me who,
Yeah,
because
who
I'm a
does?
director and I
Yeah,
do know how to handle something.
yeah.
So either they are clueless or they're just nasty bullies. It's
That's
one or the
sad.
other.
Isn't that sad? And I
It's
think
very
that,
sad, yeah.
because like I said again, sometimes what we're working on is so much fun, or it depends on the story, obviously. And I just think it starts from the top, and it's important, like, that the director is a team player because he's got a team around him, and they would get so much more. I think, I mean, touch wood, I've been lucky with the directors I've worked with. I can't think of anybody.
I
So
mean,
that's,
you've worked with quite a few quite big directors, haven't you?
yes. And but again, sometimes I would be maybe an artist on the team or a supervisor, and it's mainly then the designer that would be
Be in contact,
in
in
direct
touch with them.
contact,
Yeah, yeah.
unless you happen to be on set and
Yeah,
and if you're there on set and he needs something or he needs something of you, of course you're there and you'll
yeah.
do the best and you'll do what they want. At the end of the day, it's their vision, so you will do what they want. But yeah, no, but again, you don't really know. Like, I've just been fortunate, but it's because I'm not directly with them all the time, or I'm not
Yeah.
directly around them, so you don't really get to know them either. You
I
know?
mean, being close to directors, it's you have to more or less sort of get a sense of how they like to work.
Yeah, of course. They're
Um,
how they steer their ship.
exactly. So if
Mm.
it's the case of people that I didn't like working with or actually hated working with,
Oh my God.
basic, because there were a couple of
Were
instances
they
that I
that
really
strong?
hated. Yeah.
Wow. Oh God, did he?
I
That's
just,
shocker.
it's just, I think because there was an element of harassment and bullying going
Oh,
on.
that's sad.
And
That's
they
yeah.
nowadays they say, oh, you've got to make it almost like a safe space and report
Mm,
people. But that's all fine until the bully is the top person. And then it doesn't matter how
mm,
much you report them, nothing happens.
yeah,
And that's
yeah,
a reality, I'm afraid.
yeah.
So sometimes, I'm in a situation where I start a job and it's going to be longish. And on week two, I realize this guy is a Muppet, or this woman is a Muppet, because I have been women like
I
that as
love
well.
that. I'm on the
Um,
Muppet Show.
and the Muppet
I'm
Show.
not for the good one.
No, and then I think, okay, I've got to be do a bit of damage
Damage
containment,
control. Mm,
damage control here.
mm.
So how do I do my job? Avoid being upset on a daily basis.
Oh God.
But I'm pretty good at that. I said
Yeah,
I can handle this. And I
yeah.
think the couple of times that I didn't handle it so well, I had to go to producers
Therapy.
and things. I had to go to up to producers and say, look, this
Hang
isn't
on, this
working.
gobshite here.
It isn't working. And then it surprisingly, or maybe not so much
Yeah,
surprisingly,
yeah.
they begged me to stay on, and they either gave me some more money or gave me presents, because they kind of knew this person is a like
Wow.
kind of sociopath and nobody
Marinella,
else
you
will
were
step
bought.
in.
You were bought.
I was bought, I'm afraid, yeah.
I mean, if it's a nice bottle of perfume, hey ho,
But
you
there
know.
are a couple of people, I think later on, even if I see them, because one of them is extremely famous.
Oh wow.
And whenever because he's always sort of on TV or
Around.
awards, and
Oh, okay.
whenever I hear this voice, I get a little bit jittery, so that I can't even
Oh
hear
my
this
God. So
person's
would
voice.
you say your PTSD?
Maybe. I mean, I was a friend of mine who worked with the same person. She said to me, I cannot hear his voice. Uh,
Wow.
so it is sad.
It's tough, yeah.
It's
Well,
really sad.
yeah, and I mean, I actually have worked with friends that have had similar feelings about people as well, and it's just unfortunate, Marinella, because there's no need. Why
Yeah, I
make
mean,
another person
you're
feel?
stuck together for like 14 hours
Mm,
a day.
yeah,
So there is no need for this kind of
no,
behavior.
no.
And on one occasion, on one of these people, a director, and everybody could see that I was having a really rough time and nobody did
Mm,
anything. They just, oh, poor you, sort of thing. And then somebody said, oh, but his episodes are great. As if that was like a reason for me to, put up with this shit.
it's
And
o-
I
it's
thought,
okay
well,
because his episodes are good.
it's okay because his episodes are great.
Oh my
And I thought,
God,
hang on a second, surely there's
yeah,
other people who are as talented as this guy, but they're not gonna. But that was back in the day when nobody talked about this sort of stuff. It was years ago.
yeah,
Nobody
yeah.
was talking about that. So, and it's still going on. That you can have all this stuff about, oh, let's create a safe space and blah blah blah. And I always
Mm,
think, well, I understand why that's happening, but it's a fine line, isn't it? Because you can't be
yeah,
mollycoddled
yeah.
a job like that. You have to be able to stand up for yourself, and you
Oh
have
my
to be able
God,
to, because if
yeah.
you don't have the strength to
Well, it's
stand
like a
up for
dog,
yourself,
isn't it? If you can't face it head on,
yeah.
you're.
I'll go on. What's the thought here? I'm not sure I understand where you're going for here. What's the analogy?
You know the analogy. When they say as a dog. When you hear a dog barking and it's wild, you're supposed to face the dog. But if you turn away and run away, the dog will run
No.
after you. So the analogy is
Yeah, and at
you've
some
got to
point there's not going
face
to
the
be
fear.
nowhere to run, nowhere
No,
to
no, no.
hide from
You
the
almost
dog.
it's almost like like a dog will sniff out fear. They
Yes.
will understand fear. And if
Yeah.
they sniff out fear and understand it, it gives them strength to come
Yeah.
forward. But
Yeah.
if you hold this dog off and just shout at it or get a stick at it or just I suppose, just don't show fear, be a bit more dominant, you will see the dog back off. And I remember my mom, one time I was on a walk with my mom, and my mom was like, oh, there's a dog. I went, Mammy, it's fine. And the dog was going a bit crazy. But because I went into protection mode for my mom, oh, it was really interesting. If I was on my own, I probably would have been like, oh my God, it's going to come for me. Down one of these country rural roads in Ireland where these
Yeah.
dogs just roam around. And because I was protecting my mom, I went straight in there. I nearly faced up to it. Get off, go home, go home. God, he turned around his heels and he went. I was even surprised.
Yeah, I think he probably sensed. something because
He did it. No,
animals are
but that's
quite,
what I mean. But that's
yeah.
what I mean. Like sometimes in anybody's work, it's not even in film, isn't it? It's like in anybody's arena where they have to go to work every day. It's like I've heard loads of different stories, of either being some people being micromanaged or just your experiences. It is tough and it's hard to navigate that. It's hard to
But
you
I
need
think, yeah, but I think it's a little bit tricky at the moment because I don't know what I was watching the other day because there's a lot of, I think we're talking yesterday about the whole
yeah.
unconscious bias training and all that.
Oh
And
yeah.
then oh yeah, someone was, I saw a little short video about that this woman made about, you know, microaggressions. So the whole
Oh
thing about microaggression, you've heard of this.
yes, I have. Yeah.
So it's like, to me, it seems like, well, okay, if you consider everything to be a microaggression, you have to spend your whole life inside a room because
Well, because
every
everything
everything is a
exactly a
microaggression in this
microaggression.
world,
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
can be perceived as such.
Well, I mean, you could be standing in line for to buy something, and somebody could come over and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was standing there," and
Yeah,
you go, "Okay, that's fine." Sometimes it's not, choose your fight, just take it over. You could, that's
yeah,
okay, that's okay.
yeah. And this whole thing of taking offense, oh, I'm
Yeah,
offended.
no,
Well, I'm sure nobody sets out to offend people on purpose.
no,
Most people don't do that. Um, But if you take offense at what somebody else is saying, then it's more your problem than their problem. Because they
yeah,
might be saying something that's offensive to you, or I don't
yeah.
know,
I
might be
don't know.
might be just a horrible thing to say, but
Yeah,
it's up to you to sort of protect yourself from that stuff. And
I agree, and I think as well, we're only responsible for our own mouth and our own feelings, and we are all responsible for ourselves. And sometimes I just think, sometimes hurt people hurt, and it could be somebody's just had a really bad day, and
yeah,
somebody has, maybe made them feel insecure, and then it trickles down, doesn't it? But I always try to rise above it because I always think, oh, bless them, they might have had a bad day, or whatever. And I just don't take it on board because I like to be happy. My
yeah,
priority in life is to be happy. Uh,
yeah.
you
I
know,
remembered this was again years ago before this whole conversation started. I
mm.
was working on a big series in Hungary, in Budapest.
Oh, okay.
And I was sitting in the AD's office. And
Mm.
the first assistant director, because there was a lot of sort of young, pretty girls coming in and out and stuff, and
Yeah.
runners who were like extremely pretty, and they were all like,
Yeah.
oh, pretty girls. Um, and he said something to me that was so awful, like a sexual comment
Oh, wow.
about how I wasn't like those girls
Oh,
because
my
I'm a little bit
gosh.
older. And I remember
Mm.
I was like a bit shocked. I laughed because
Well, because
normally
you were in
when
shock.
I'm shocked, I laugh.
I think I do the same. Yeah.
So I was so shocked, I laughed. And his second assistant also was shocked and he also laughed. And I was
They
like,
laughed out of
wow.
it. It was. I think the laughing was a cover up of the shock factor.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe 1% of me thought actually it is a bit funny, but 99% thought actually this is absolutely
This is
horrible.
absolutely not funny. How fucking dare he?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
should I say
And
fucking
I
is
mean,
another person.
then I didn't really think more about it, but as the years went by and since all of this conversation about on-set behavior started and all
Mm,
that, and I
yeah.
thought back to that and I thought, wow, that guy was an absolute asshole. I mean, what a thing to say. I'm not going to tell you what he said. Maybe
No,
after
I don't.
you've
You
looked
know
it
what? I
up.
don't want to know because let's not give it any room to breathe. It's like people like that. It's like you, as my mom says, put it in the bin. Anything if something bothers her, it's like she's a fantastic Dublin woman. But anything bothers her, or somebody says something, or it's one of the, if anything, she go, oh, I'm just putting that in the bin. I don't want to deal with that. It's not nice. It's gone in
Yeah,
the bin.
that's a
It's almost
good.
like forget about it.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Given that we are talking, because going back on what we're just saying now, film sets are a bit like a microcosm of society in a way, but it's on a 200 miles an hour speed.
Yes.
As if you speed it up, the emotions, the feelings, the interactions, everything. That's kind of
Mm,
how it is.
yeah,
Just thinking about that, and perhaps I can ask you from your upbringing, since this is called Film and Faith.
yeah,
What was your experience of faith in your family? Because being from Ireland, I'm presuming that your family is Catholic.
yeah. Oh, to be honest with you, I used to say my family was like, do you remember the Waltons or Little
Yeah.
House on the Prairie?
Yeah.
You know, there was there, together in the household, including my mum and dad, there was 10, 4 boys and 4 girls. And we would sometimes when we go to bed, and I would go, good night, mate, good night, Sandra, good night. There was a John. So I'd go, good night, John boy. And then we would do this on loop. And my parents would be like, go to sleep. Oh my God, back out again. Go to sleep. And but we went to mass every Sunday. We were very the priest would come and visit our family, and I always remember when the priest came, the good biscuits had come out, and it was yeah. I grew up. My parents, and in Ireland at the time, this was quite unusual. They never drank or smoked or gambled.
The
And
priests
no, pardon,
who didn't.
the priest. I'm talking about my parents.
All
I
right.
don't
Oh,
think the
see.
priest,
Right.
if
Right.
the
Right.
priests did, I mean,
Yeah.
but no, my parents. So I grew up quite differently from a lot of my friends. I remember thinking that quite early because, drink was a big culture, drinking and
In
smoking
Ireland,
in
right?
Ireland at the time.
Yeah.
Like I remember after Mass on a Sunday, I was always jealous of my friends that would go to the pub, they'd have a bottle of Coca-Cola and Tater crisps. We'd be straight back home to peel the spuds, for to get the Sunday dinner ready.
Yeah.
But I think, thank God, that I did grow up in a family where it was just very healthy. There was a lot of laughter.
Yeah.
My mum and dad laughed a lot, and I think that's probably where I sit because I'm the oldest, so I always
Oh,
remember
right.
them laughing, and no matter what happened. If you've got 8 kids, you cannot take a lot to heart because that's a big
No.
family.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a circus and a lot of
Sucks.
personalities. And but no, it was. We grew up like in a very loving household. Every Sunday we went to mass, and yeah, it was a very, I'd say, quite a traditional Irish, a very healthy way. I was very lucky to be brought up in that way. I was extremely lucky. I was brought up with parents that loved us all equally. They enjoyed us as well as kids growing up. They were growing up with us. And yeah, I'd say that's why I am the way I am today, is because I had a very lucky, and I realized that I had a lucky head start in life because my parents were together till, my poor daddy passed away. And actually, today is actually my dad's 18th anniversary.
Oh,
Yeah, today he's
wow.
18 years dead today, and he was very religious. And
Yeah.
remember my mum saying the day before he died, he was praying heavily. She said
Did he get
she
last rites?
Uh, Unfortunately, with my poor dad, it was a massive heart attack,
Right.
but he would have,
But he had been praying anyway.
he
Yeah.
had been praying. He was very religious. My dad. He was a very, very, very good man. He was a postman, and he was very loved in his town. He would have been the type of postman that he would deliver the post, but also, maybe bring bread because that person might have been ill, or if he knew there
Oh,
was
wow.
kids there, he would always have some sweets. Or if somebody said that they were waiting on something very important, he would go back, see if it was there, if it was a weekend and they wouldn't get to Monday, and he would drive all the way back. Like, he was a very, very, very dedicated to his job, very dedicated to my mother, and extremely dedicated to us as kids. Very,
Mm,
very good father.
mm. So would you say that having that structure that the church provided was like a real sort of basis for a good upbringing for you and your
Yeah, yes, because we had
siblings?
structure. We did have that
Yeah.
structure. We knew that our parents loved us, and we knew, we there was 8 of us, so sharing was very important. We all looked after each other, and because my dad was a very much hands-on dad as well. He was never he like I remember. he would leave the car open. Like, this is Ireland again, and he would say be finished at maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4, and we would go to the car, open the doors, we'd all sit, wait there for Daddy to bring us home. Daddy would get his newspaper, he'd come home, he'd open his newspaper, we'd all sit around the table getting our homework together. Mammy would be cooking, and then maybe Home and Away or Neighbours or something would be on. We were allowed to watch that, and but very, very connected. And I think because my mum and dad were quite religious, and we had that umbrella of faith, and what that brought was to live good, to live, quite happily. And I remember even my dad, he didn't like lies. He said, who
Right.
took the last biscuit, or where is it? Just tell me the truth. So being truthful was extremely important to my father.
Yeah.
And and also he would not allow us speak ill of anybody. If we were sitting there, and one of my brothers would say something, and my dad say, I don't want to hear that, I don't want to hear that. Like, I can honestly say I never heard one bad comment come out of my dad's mouth, ever. He never spoke ill of anybody. And he was very much like, again, well, we don't know what that person had gone through.
Yeah.
And actually, I remember there's a program at home called The Late Late Show, and I was quite young. And there was two families that had lost children due to a hit and run. So there was the family that was of the guy in the car, and then there was a family of they both ended up dying. The
Yeah.
kids both ended up dying, and there was the family of the poor kid that was run over by the
Mm.
drinking driver. And one family could forgive, and the other family couldn't. And it was on a TV show. But I always remember my dad looking at that and saying to me, Sandra, see that family that forgave, that their hearts will be more open, and they will be able to move on with their lives. And look at the
Yeah.
other family. You can see that's tearing them apart. They're no
Yeah.
longer with their partner because their faith drove them in a different direction. And I think then the faith of the person that said we had to forgive the drunken driver because we would never have been able to move on. And I remember that, like, as I'm speaking about it today, I can see my dad at the kitchen table, and I remember him saying, he said, you've got to forgive no matter what
Mm.
happens to us. You
Mm.
always have to forgive, because it's the way of moving forward. And
Yeah.
I believe that. I always think when something bad happens, I always think back, and I think, what triggered that?
Yeah.
And again, I mentioned this earlier, hurt people hurt.
Yeah.
I do think there's I think forgiveness is so important.
Yeah. And it's I mean, your father was obviously a very wise man, and
He was, I honestly, I mean, his funeral, I'll give you his funeral this day 18 years ago was in a cathedral. So you can imagine the size of a cathedral.
yeah.
There was people standing outside.
Wow.
Yes.
Because of course, him being the postman. Where was this, in Dublin
It
or
was actually in County Westmeath.
right?
Mullingar,
Where's that?
Mullingar is
Right.
the name of the town. My parents are from Dublin, but when we were quite young, I was probably about 8 or 9. He didn't want to bring us up in a city environment, so he brought us to the countryside. So even then,
Yeah.
he wanted us to have a country life. He was afraid for us as children to be brought up in a city, which at the time was very forward thinking. you know but yeah, he was so loved. My dad was so loved. And even, there was times through my life, and even now, I could be somewhere, and then somebody would be chatting to me, and then maybe a parent would say, oh my God, was your dad such, and Walter O'Brien, or Willie O'Brien as they called him, the postman? And I said, yeah. And instantly you could see this wash of, oh my God, we loved him. Like, he was loved.
Mm.
And what a legacy.
What a legacy. Yeah,
Mm,
it's very moving to think
mm,
about that, because
yeah.
that that someone like that
Mm.
was the person who informed your whole life. Like
Yeah, yeah. And even sometimes now I do stop myself and I go, oh, Sandra, stop. If Daddy was here, sometimes I would,
yeah.
I'd be like, oh, stop. Or, I've got a conscience because of him,
Yeah. I
and
always
my
will
mum.
think, sorry, carry on.
No, so I was just going to say, and my mom equally, they met each other, which I think is also important. They had the same values. You know, my
Well,
mom.
it doesn't work if you don't,
No,
I
it doesn't.
guess.
Well, it goes to
Yeah.
show you to have 8 kids, and eight good kids, and we adored our parents, and thank God we still have my mom. Like my mom is 81, and she is phenomenal, like phenomenal.
Oh, it's a joy to still my mom's still around. She's 93.
Like that's amazing. We got to
Yeah.
rejoice, to have
Yeah.
our mom still with us. It's I have a friend actually. She lost her mom this year, and I really felt for her because I was thinking of my own, and I was just thinking it doesn't matter how old you are.
Yeah.
Your mom is everything, and your father. Your parents are, and I
Yeah.
don't think age matters. As far as the older you get, it's like you still have that pain. And when her mother passed away, just this year, I really felt for her because her dad is gone, and now it's almost like she's an orphan.
Mm.
And I just thought, fuck, what does that feel like?
Yeah. I mean, what you're saying earlier about forgiveness and how, your father had the foresight of
Mm.
just seeing,
Well, it was
okay,
letting it go.
yeah,
He
we
would say,
don't,
"Let it
but
go, Sam.
that's
Let it
what
go."
the kind of, that's what Jesus would say that,
Yeah.
you know, if somebody 7 times, forgive them 7 times. And if it's 70 times, you forgive them 70 times. And I
Yeah.
think most people find it hard to forgive certain things because it's almost like there's this thing that happened and it was awful. And I still feel like I hate these people before what they've done to me. So I cannot forgive. But I
Yeah.
think forgiveness is an act of will and almost like an act of faith
Mm.
in that you don't have to feel like forgiving someone. You have to just take a step towards saying, I want to forgive this person. It
Mm.
doesn't matter how you feel about it, but you actually
Yeah.
make a point of doing that.
I think as well, it obviously depends on what has happened and
Yeah,
the gravity of it. But, so I understand there's, certain situations of things have happened that are absolutely unforgivable.
yeah.
But I think sometimes you have to do it for yourself.
Well, otherwise it's like an albatross around your neck for the
Yeah,
rest of your
exactly.
life.
And
So it's for
I
you rather than
yeah,
for,
it's
yeah,
more for yourself. It's more for, love yourself enough to be able to let go. To you don't have to understand. You don't have to the whys or the whens, but to love yourself enough to kind of say to yourself, I gotta forgive this person because I want to live a good life. I want to be able to go out in the morning and just take a nice walk and not have them, dominate my life, take over every brain cell. So it's almost like working on yourself
yeah,
to look after yourself, to let that part go, to let it
yeah.
just you'll never forget. And but I think
But
it's
I think it does ease off if you make a real move towards letting go of something. Because I
yeah,
think the whole commandment of love your enemies and love your enemies and
of your neighbor though. I know
pray
that,
for those who
yeah.
persecute you. I mean, that's a tall order, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is. I mean,
But
it absolutely is. And then, sometimes I watch these programs on TV, and, with kids missing and
yeah,
the horrific things that happen. And
yeah,
I put myself in those people's shoes. And then you see relaying the stories maybe 10, 20 years on, and you can still see the pain in their faces. I mean, it's horrific. But you can also see some of them, like they'll say either they maybe found God or they prayed more, and
yeah,
just to get them through it, just to mentally help them get to a place where they find peace in their own hearts.
yeah. And in that sense, in terms of film, what do you have films that you've watched that really caused you to think, wow, this film really caused like a really deep impression on me for that reason specifically, like it's really made a difference in my life in some way?
um God, I haven't even really watched anything lately. I'm trying to think.
Could be old films,
Yeah,
doesn't
I'm
have to
trying.
be
I mean,
anything.
I love like I said, I think why I made reference to Mrs. Havisham. I think one of the first stories that I saw was Great Expectations, and
Yeah,
I was fascinated by the Estelle character and
Yeah.
how cold she was. And I was also fascinated by Mrs. Havisham, and that stayed with me. And that kind of that the parts of the cruelty to
Yeah.
bring somebody in to just to hurt them. You know,
Yeah.
I
To
I
use them as a tool to
That's
hurt
used as a
men.
tool.
Yeah.
That disturbed me. Um, and I remember another film that disturbed me as well. And again, it was about missing people and Picnic on Hanging Rock.
Oh yeah, that
And
was quite an old one, wasn't it?
yeah, yeah. Was that Peter Jackson?
It's no, it's Peter Weir.
Peter Weir.
They're
Sorry,
both
not
from
Peter.
down under, but
Yeah, yeah,
different
yeah,
countries.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember watching that again when I was quite young. That really disturbed me. I remember having nightmares about that, and I was having nightmares about these beautiful girls going missing. And I was at the time in Ireland, there were kids going missing,
Yeah.
as they are, and have been for centuries. And something about that as well stayed with me, because I think again I was thinking and going, oh my God, where are they? Can you imagine the pain of their families? And
Yeah.
I find when I watch, I like to watch things that are non-fiction.
Mm.
I do like to watch things that almost challenge me, and you think about it, and you're in it. I love to watch something that totally takes me. I remember that other one. What was it? It was with Graham. Was it, what's his name? Norton. Was it It was when he was very racist, and I couldn't handle watching that. I found that very hard to watch.
Is
Uh,
that when he was part of like a neo-Nazi gang or
yes,
something?
and then he ends up going to prison, but he finds God. Uh,
Yeah, I think it was is American History
American
X.
History X. Oh my
Yeah.
God, that I found very hard.
Mm.
Racism, anything like that. I'm like, I don't see color. I never have.
Mm.
I even when I was in school when I was younger, I was like, oh my God, where are you from? Where do you do what? Oh my God, I love this food. I love traveling, and I love all that. Being out there, and like I embrace a lot of different types of movies. But it's like when I watch something that has a cruelty to it, I find it
Mm.
too disturbing, actually.
So why do you think horror films and those kind of films make
Because we
such a
still
lot of
watch them, but
money?
we're like this. We're like that. It's
But
like
is it like a desire to be scared or to
I
be
I I think we all go on a bit of a roller coaster with whatever movie we watch. Like, I mean, I think I don't know if I mentioned this to you yesterday, but like the Bridges of Madison County. Like,
yeah,
I was in tears watching that,
yeah,
because it was a woman that settled along her life,
yeah,
and then a door opens,
yeah,
into her soul. And you want every part of you to go for it, go for it. But
yeah, yeah,
because of her restrictions in her life, and like stories like that, it's like I will watch, because you want to be on that journey with those stories. You want to feel that as well. And I think as well, if you're quite an open person, you feel more. You
yeah,
understand the pain of that Meryl Streep character wanting to go towards the Clint Eastwood character. I can't think
yeah,
of their names that they had in the film. And it's the same with a horror film. Like, I will watch a horror. I quite like a horror, but again, it's a bit like I will watch it, but then
well, I
afterwards,
think it depends on the horror.
it depends on the horror. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, psychological ones, and then I go,
yeah,
why did I watch that? Because now I'm gonna have, not that I'll have nightmares, but it'll play on my mind.
yeah. I remember when Pete, my husband, he said, "Oh, you should watch what's it called? The Texas Chainsaw
Oh
Massacre,
Jesus,
the
no!
original one, 1973."
Oh
And
my
I've
God.
always been a almost like a specialist in filmmaking of all sorts. I said, "Yeah, I have to watch that because I've never watched it."
Yeah, I
And I
have.
watched that bloody film, and my heart was it was this pain in my chest for 2 hours watching
Yeah,
this stuff.
yeah.
And I thought, this is insane. I will never watch something like this again because it
No,
doesn't
see
matter.
that I can't. I
It
can't
doesn't
do.
matter how good the film is because it is good,
Yeah,
technically.
yeah.
I can tell the person has a lot of talent, but that's not a good reason for me to put myself through that again. Is
I think for me, anything that's too bloody or gruesome, I can't watch.
yeah.
Or
Well,
like,
it's what's called torture porn,
yeah,
isn't
yeah. No,
it?
I won't watch. I won't watch them. But I am fascinated with true crime.
Yeah.
I am like I will. Somebody will tell me a story, and I'll be like, "Oh my God, what's happened? What and and it's when the family has done it. That to me is like,
Yeah.
where are those people? Where do
Well,
you
but
go?
apparently that's the first kind of suspects on any case is
Mm,
usually people from the family,
yeah.
which I
Well,
think is a little bit crazy, but
they
there you
do
go.
say, I was watching something and somebody asked somebody, to a woman, do you know who the most dangerous person in your life is? And the woman was like, oh, I don't know. She went, the person you choose to spend your time with, your
Yeah.
partner, your husband. And
Yeah.
it's kind of like, oh, like that's the most dangerous person to a woman. Obviously, if you choose wrong, if you choose right, hey, it's okay.
Yeah.
But but we hear these stories, and even like in like I'm still fascinated by this story. I don't know if we can talk about it here. I won't go into it, but the story with oh God, what's her name? That drowned off the boat. The actress, the very famous
Oh, Natalie Wood.
Natalie Wood. Like I remember watching and reading about that, and that fascinates me because I'm like, what the hell happened? You know
Well, we will we
what
ever know what
we
really
will never know.
happened?
Will we ever know? No. And
Mm.
there's stories like that all the time, and you just think. I think as well, we like to work things out. So
Yeah.
we like a beginning, a middle, and an end,
We
and
like a story well
we
told.
like we like a story
So if
well
there's
told.
something missing, it's like it's the completion, the
Yes,
loss of
we like that.
completion
Yeah,
is the problem.
yeah,
Um, and I think that's in a weird way, I think that has a lot to do with the perfection of God.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
everything has to be perfect. That's the perfection of God. So if it's
Mm,
not perfect, it's not complete. If there's something missing, there's just niggling thing bothering us because it's
mm.
not done, it's not complete.
But
Um,
then sometimes it's almost like the broken person will embrace more.
how do you mean?
Well, if it's not complete, like if somebody's broken and they're not complete and they'll never be complete, it's almost like the underdog. We almost come in and we embrace something that is broken, and we're trying to understand it. And
Yeah,
psychologically, we may never get to the end, or we may never think that
I'll just
person
stop
will never,
watching that film.
yeah, that person will never be complete. But yeah, I'm trying to think lately. I mean, you mentioned Frankenstein. I want to watch that actually.
Frankenstein, yeah, I mean, it's I'd probably have to watch it again. But
Yeah, I'd like to.
what I thought about Frankenstein, I made another video about this, but I was so relieved to see a film without somebody telling me, oh, there's, box ticking, casting, box ticking, subjects, box ticking, everything. I thought this is
Mm,
just a story that somebody's telling.
mm,
And it's done in a beautiful way. It was a little bit over theatrical, if I think
mm.
about it. A bit sort of some outlandish decisions in design, but I thought it was a very bold film and
Yeah, no, I'd like to
definitely
see
worth
that.
seeing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's what about you? Is there a film that you saw in your youth that stayed with
Um,
you or
yeah, well, when I was very young, when I was about 9, because we lived in a Navy base in the north of Brazil,
wow, how
and
cool is that?
because my dad was in the Navy,
Oh,
and
okay.
so we were there was a cinema
Hmm.
like it's a closed Navy base, and
Yeah.
there was a cinema that all the week it was a cinema, and on Sundays it became a church.
Great.
So I had my first communion in a cinema,
I
if you
love
can imagine.
that.
Yeah,
That's
so
amazing.
it kind of goes some way to explaining why I do what I do these days.
Yeah, yeah. You were
But
born into it.
so we were kind of allowed to watch. There was no one telling us you can't watch this because it's restricted
PG,
or.
yeah, yeah.
So I remember watching. I mean, it probably was a very bad idea for me to watch that film. It was a horror film, like an Italian, what they call an Italian giallo. It's
Hmm.
like a shock horror film, like exploitation,
How
and
old were you?
it was called in Italian. It was La Tarantola dal ventre nero, which is like the tarantula with the red belly. No, yellow belly.
Oh my God. How old were you, Marinella, when you
Red or
watched it?
yellow, I can't remember. The
Yeah.
tarantula, whatever. So it was like a serial murderer who had
Oh my
he
God.
it was really sick, and he could have killed women with there was like a needle with the venom of spiders, and he inserted them in the back. But it was like a sexual thing that ended up in murder. So imagine me at 8 years old watching all
8.
that.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
And I
Yeah.
probably couldn't sleep for like a month after that.
Yeah.
And then I also watched Death in Venice,
Oh my God.
the Italian movie, like an art movie,
Mm.
which I was really quite um, impressed with because I didn't really understand what was going on because it's the story about this beautiful teenage boy in the turn of the century Venice, and he's with his family and this old composer who's kind of gay. He's always sort of looking around for the boy. The boy's like 15, so he's like a pedo pretty much. Um, and this kid, the actor who played the kid is there was a film about him because he was called
Ah.
the most beautiful boy in the world. But he had a terrible life because he was sort of, he was sprayed upon, he was too
Oh,
young
that's
to live.
sad, isn't it,
It's
Biddy?
all that. But at the time, I didn't know any of that. So I just watched the
Mm.
film and I was quite uh, taken with the imagery because it's quite a
Mm.
beautiful film.
Mm.
And I think a couple of other films that I watched, but in terms of films that really moved me, I would say It's a Wonderful Life. I can
Oh,
watch
that's a
that film
beautiful film. Yeah.
anytime. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny actually because I grew up loving musicals. I've just thought of that now. Like I
Oh,
loved,
musicals. Yeah, yeah.
Mary Poppins,
Yeah.
My Fair Lady, and I remember on Sundays I would be like, My Fair Lady's on, and then the boys we'd have votes in our house, and the football. It was like always football on a Sunday, and my brothers would be like, if she bursts out singing one more time, they want to be watching musicals.
So it was Mass, Sunday roast, football, and musicals on, you're right,
Yeah,
Sundays.
well, I want no, actually not. No, I wanted the musicals, but normally the Sunday game won over
All
me.
right. Okay.
But at the odd time, if it was afterwards. But yeah, so that was actually one thing I always loved. My love of cinema started quite early actually, and it was a lot to do with I loved, the color of the musicals, and
Yeah.
actually The Wizard of Oz was probably one of my favorite earlier ones
Yeah.
that I just that the whole fascination of being in that other world and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
delving into it. And yeah, I was pretty lucky in that way, although I did love the Amityville Horror when I got a bit older. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah. I do remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Good.
So just to close down, because we're reaching the 1 hour mark here, what do you think about have you been to Ireland recently? And what do you think of the state of Irish society at the moment?
I actually was in Ireland there not too long ago. My sister got married, and it was a fabulous weekend. And I find it very sad. I find, without getting into the political side of thing, I just find, um, I'm Irish. I travel a lot. I get embraced in every country I go to. I'm embraced, and I find it's just sad, Biddy, because everybody just wants a home that they can call their own and they feel safe in. And if we could live in a world where we could have just that, like how I grew up, I think is how a lot of people would like to live, because a lot of these people have kids and they're in fear of their home countries. And, it's something politically people feel very strong about. And I, how I feel about it is everybody deserves a right to live and you bring up their kids in a safe environment wherever that needs to be.
Mm,
And it's sad because crime has gone up in
mm,
Ireland, and it's such a small country. And it's like there's blame put here and then there's blame put there. And I don't have a crystal ball. I don't really know the ins and outs of it, and I don't
yeah.
know. But I know from personally speaking, as a girl at 18, went to live in America for the first time and traveled around there. And I've lived in Germany, I've lived in Australia, I've lived all over the world, and I've 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 been fortunate, Biddy, in the country I've come from, and the passport I have, and not everybody has that grace.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
And and yeah, and I think it's something that when people are being verbally abused or their homes being threatened, I find that scary, no matter who they are.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that to me is scary. If there's threat coming to any family from any group, no matter what their nationality is, I find it scary because at the end of the day, all anybody wants is to feel safe and for their children to feel safe or their spouses or their parents or whoever, whoever the demographic is. They just want to be
Mm.
safe and be happy. Like, I mean, isn't that what we all want at the end of the day?
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much.
Mm, in
So
an ideal world.
we cl we close this chat with what's your final thoughts for the
I think, oh,
whoever's watching this,
pardon? My
for
final
whoever's
thoughts
watching this.
are whatever it is, just let it go. If anything's eating you up inside, it's not worth it. And just do something that makes you happy. If it's making a coffee, if it's going for a walk, if it's ringing a friend, just find your happy place wherever that is. And if that's in a faith way, and then in a work way, if you're struggling and you don't know where you're at and you're trying to figure out, if it's an industry like myself and Marinella that are in, and you're like, oh, I'd love to get into that industry, that sounds interesting, there's always a door that will open. It's like, even when I was in charge in the West End, if somebody put a CV into me and they said, I'd love to come and work experience. Is that okay? There will be somebody in charge like me that will go, do you know what? I'm going to give this kid a chance. There
Mm,
are people that will open up their doors to you.
yeah.
If it's something that if you're watching this and you're quite young, do a course. You know, hair, I would actually say, maybe even a barbering course or go into hairdressing and then stepping stones. Just every step you take in that direction. It's like nothing is going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
And even with my career, I'm still working and I enjoy the career I'm in. I enjoy, I've just come out of a great job and I've enjoyed the people, and it's another great memory to have, another chapter in my life. So it's just a chapter in your life. So wherever you start, it's like the beginning. Don't think about the end. Just think of a chapter a time, and then you will get where you need to go.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Excellent. Thank you so much for
Thank you,
coming on
Marinella.
board. And yeah, just leave some comments if you have any questions for Sandra. I'm sure I can ask her again.
Yeah.
If not, just, I never said this on air before, but subscribe, like the video, leave some comments, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you. Thanks, Marinella.
Bye.
Bye.